Happy May the 4th be with you, everybody. Oh, well, there you go. We are here with a special episode of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey!
This is very much a Star Wars themed episode as we're recording this on May the 4th, and we're going to be talking about that new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer that dropped this morning, the second trailer from Lucasfilm and Disney promoting Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're just a few weeks away, literally days away from this thing coming out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our favorite Star Wars moments or not so favorite Star Wars moments and pitch you our ideas for a series that we'd like to see in the future from Star Wars that may or may not happen. Who knows? But we're definitely going to dive into the galaxy far, far away all through this episode of Geek Buddies. Let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, writer, producer, and host, and big Star Wars fan here on the Geek Buddies. Mike?
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies and Jedi Knight.
Well, good, yes. And Shannon.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm a television actor and an animation writer where you can see some of our work now on Netflix with Strawberry Shortcake, Berry in the Big City. And I'm just a resident of Cloud City. I just got this job from this guy, Mr. Calrissian, really nice guy, and suddenly stormtroopers started showing up. Things took a turn.
That's fair. That's fair. These do take a turn once you're out there in Star Wars land for sure. How nice of you to bring up Bestman. Thanks, Shannon. But here we're gonna talk about.
I said Cloud City.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. Close enough. But of course we are being brought to you all and sponsored and powered by the great folks over at Carbon Health. I don't know if some of you follow me on my now saved Twitter account. Thank God to everybody involved who helped me last night get my Twitter account back under my control. But I tweeted yesterday how the numbers are going up on COVID, and we're seeing this all across the country here. And the fine folks at Carbon Health reached out to me and asked me to tweet out about the fact that they are now offering these at-home kits that you can test yourself with at a cheap rate. I think it's 2 for $20. You can get those kits, get home, get tested so you can get ahead of the curve and find out if you've got this thing, start quarantining immediately. And that's the kind of services they offer at Carbon Health. They got 100 plus locations across 14 states, 50 plus locations in California. And as I said, they've done over 2 million COVID tests, so they're very well rehearsed and experienced with that. And if you're in California, consider scheduling an annual checkup today. They believe in creating a relationship with you and your healthcare provider, and that works for you. There we got the guys behind me there cutting some stuff. They'll probably go to Carbon Health if they need it. And also they have an app for you from Carbon Health, so you can have a doc in your pocket. And certainly, Mike and Shannon, there are quite a few people in the Star Wars universe that probably could have used a visit to Carbon Health after some interactions with Jedis or Siths, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Took Boba Fett an entire series in that bacta tank. Like Carbon Health probably could have saved us about like 3 flashbacks if they had come in early enough.
Would help the story. Shannon, yes.
Well, yeah, I think we're still waiting to hear what the at-home tests are for midichlorians, right, John? They don't have those ready to go to market yet.
How dare you? How dare you?
Well, burying the lead
Fair
right
question.
up to that. I like it.
It's a fair question.
Yeah, so go to carbonhealth.com right now and get checked out, schedule an appointment, and get those antigen COVID tests from them. They're available only when you go to the location. So definitely find a location near you, go there and pick up the tests, and that'll help you out. Sorry, my glasses are fogging over from a little bit of sweat. It's hot here in San Diego today, so definitely burning up. Another thing that's burning up is Star Wars. And Mike, let's start this off here. We're going to talk about our top 3 favorite Star Wars moments. That's what we kind of all decided when to talk about our top 3 right off the bat, then our top 3 not so favorite, and then get into our series before we take our break and jump into our main topic, and that's the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. We're going to break that thing down as our main topic. Mike, start us off here on your top 3 Star Wars moments, either live action or animated.
All right, so I'm going to be controversial here a little bit. I was going through it this morning. After we were all texting. I'm like, oh, what are my favorite, because we were like, let's not split apart the trilogies and all of the great animation that Star Wars has. Like, let's put it all together. And I realized that although my love for Star Wars is great and my love for the original trilogy is huge, my 3 favorite Star Wars moments are all animated.
Wow.
All 3 of them. All 3 are animated moments. And I even tried to be like, oh man, okay. come on, let's just put one of them away, forget one of them, and then just give me another live action. And I was like, I gotta go with these. I gotta go with these. So here are my top 3 Star Wars animated moments.
Please.
Star Wars animated moment number 1: Ahsoka Tano facing Darth Vader in the Sith Temple in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, great pick.
That gets me every time. When Ahsoka like cracks Vader's mask. First of all, the fact that Ahsoka Tano goes up against Darth Vader and holds her own, which not a lot of people can do in a galaxy far, far away. But then when you see Darth Vader's mask break and you see Anakin's eye on the inside and he says Ahsoka's name and it's not Hayden Christensen, it's Anakin's voice and not Darth Vader's voice, and it's a rare moment. Like we're pretty specific where we either have Anakin or Darth Vader, and this is a moment where you see the two sort of in the same moment, and it gets me. It gets me. So that's my number 1. Are we going around one by one, or am I just giving you all 3?
Sure. Well, you want to go one by one?
We can go one by one.
Okay. All right, Shannon, what's your one?
So this one is going to be animated as well, and Ahsoka as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I was going through and watching some stuff this morning, and I think the chase scene from the Jedi Who Knew Too Much after Ahsoka has been framed with the clone troopers chasing her down after they thought she'd killed 3 clone troopers, they thought she'd murdered the suspect of the temple bombing. Watching that chase again is just so dynamic, and you're having the clones who are following orders, trying to bring this, suspect in, but they're using their stun bolts. They're using those circular stun bolts. They don't want to kill her. Anakin is very, very clear that he wants her brought in alive because he knows that she didn't do it. And watching the way that she just sort of traverses the cityscape of Coruscant, and when they get down into sort of the it's not the sewers. It's when she cuts a hole in that giant pipe.
Oh yeah.
But watching her sort of flee down this path, the clone troopers going one way and Anakin stopping and shutting his eyes for a second and being able to feel the presence of his Padawan, like that to me is just so Star Wars, and it's one of the awesome things that the animated programs have been able to really exploit is these moments that you might hear about in the live action films, but you really get to see them in animation. And now that we're getting more live action content, the live action content taking cues from the animated series, which is just this awesome sort of cyclical awesome Star Wars cycle that we have.
Also a great Fugitive reference.
Right. Yes. Good point.
Anakin and Ahsoka in the pipes, and then Ahsoka being like, I didn't do it. But Anakin's not like Tommy Lee Jones. He's not like, I don't care. He's like,
I don't care.
And then we don't see a cloth dummy of Ahsoka. My number 1 is a live action one, and that is, and this is going to surprise Mike Vogels, from The Last Jedi. It's the throne room fight with Rey and Kylo. I think that's one of the most incredible scenes in Star Wars that I've ever seen, and one that kind of just completely blew my mind watching it in The Last Jedi. Look, there are a number of really incredible moments in Last Jedi. It may not be my favorite Star Wars film, but there are moments. The Holdo maneuver, there are moments in there that you find that you're absolutely blown away by. But this is one of them, because this is Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver going toe-to-toe here with Snoke, and the reversals that happen here, and this incredible fight sequence, which I've seen put to all kinds of music on the internet, which is incredible. I mean, my favorite one is obviously the one using with the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin, playing underneath it. It's pretty badass. And then at the end, the moment where he reaches for her, this is the tragic moment. Everything can change one way or another if she can bring him back from the dark, or if he can drag her into the dark. And it's so great to see that button on the end of that. So, but that's incredible fight sequences from both of them, and obviously Daisy Ridley Ray being like pushed to the nth degree, being held by Snoke there, screaming, and then fighting back and destroying everybody. It is a crowd-pleasing, crowd-rousing moment for sure. So that's one of my favorite, or top 3 favorite moments. I didn't want to go with the standard moment, so I wanted to pick some new ones here because everyone knows the father and I love you and all that, but I wanted to pick some of the different ones that maybe we haven't spoken about on other shows. So
absolutely, and I think that's something, is like these top 3 moments. I mean, I can't speak for you two, but I think we're probably on the same page that this is a very fluid list.
Yes,
like it really depends on how you're feeling. I mean, sometimes those quieter moments is really what you need, and sometimes you just want to see balls to the wall action. And one of the things that, depending on how you feel about the sequel trilogy, I mean, Daisy Ridley plays an intensity so incredibly well. I mean, she had moments in all 3 movies, and that moment where Snoke is literally trying to rip this information from her head, and you see the anguish on her face. Like, she's really, really an impressive performer.
Yeah, it's very, very similar with Kim Cattrall when Spock is putting the mind thing on her in Star Wars 6, for sure. The screaming and the unsettling.
I believe that's Star Trek 6 and not applicable to today's conversation.
Oh, I apologize.
Thank you for trying to bring the other Star franchise into our May the 4th conversation, John.
May the 6th.
For a second, I thought John was going to reference Mannequin, so I'm glad he went with Star Trek.
First of all, sir, do not. You get Mannequin out of your mouth right now if you're going to talk bad about it.
Oh my God.
Take it right out of your mouth. I do think John does make a good point in that. Look, we're not saying best Star Wars moments. We're saying favorite, and it's a fluid list because you can't beat I love you, I know. You can't beat Luke, I am your father. Like, there's moments in Star Wars from the get-go that are iconic movie moments. But I think what is great about Star Wars, and especially as we are all celebrating this completely made-up holiday that we're all obsessed with, is that how great is it that we have a brand that gave us iconic moments that we grew up with and is continuing to give us iconic moments. I mean, that's really, I think that's what we celebrate. Star Wars, the good, the bad, and the holiday special. Like, it all exists, and it's been quite a journey. And it's been a journey of ups and downs, but it's a journey that's still delivering. Which brings me to my second one. So my second one, also a Star Wars animated moment, and I just recently rewatched it. And it would be the moment that Kanan Jarrus sacrifices his life to save the rest of the crew on the Ghost, and the complete and utter heartbreak in Hera's eyes. In the episode where we finally see them, thanks to the serum that Hera has coursing through her body, finally have an open conversation about how much they love each other and how much they mean to each other. And then to have Kanan have that moment where he uses the Force to hold back that fire. I'm gonna get into it just just thinking about it. But yeah, when he holds back that fire and you just see the recognition in Hera's face of what's actually going on, and when he pushes them away, I gotta tell you, that for 2 characters that are relatively so late in the game to the Star Wars universe, as far as when they came into the Star Wars universe, the power that those 2 characters have, both in Kanan's origin and how it's tied to Order 66, Kanan and Hera's relationship, how when you talk about badass pilots in the Star Wars universe, live action or animated, Hera Syndulla is high up on the list. And this moment, this final moment that the 2 of them have together, it's kind of what Shannon said. It takes a lot of the things that, particularly in the original trilogy, we heard that the Jedi had done, things that we've talked about the Jedi being able to do, but it is a moment that takes the best of the Jedi, the best of the Force, the best of what Star Wars really is about, which is about these found families that come together, and it's all encompassed in this moment, and it is a banger of a moment.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Shannon, what's your number 2?
So this one is from Rogue One, and it's the first test of the Death Star on Jedha. So
wow.
For a couple of reasons. We'd never seen what it looks like when a planet gets hit with that weapon. Even though it was smaller scale, it was just for the city, like to watch the devastation that caused. And, you're sort of, juxtaposing it with the crew trying to get out of there. You're getting, no matter what you think of Forrest Whitaker's performance, I mean, you get that acceptance of this is, oh, he's gonna get me emotional. That his journey has ended. Like this is the end of the line for him. And watching Jen and the crew get away, and then you cut to the Death Star, where, and obviously we know the Empire are the worst of the worst, but to watch the awe from Krennic, the just, oh my God, it's beautiful. Like watching the glee that he has, seeing like what this weapon can do, the destruction that this weapon can cause. Like it really illustrates the brutality of that enemy. To watch, like they don't just want to defeat you, they want to destroy you. And that's one, like I thought, Rogue One, of all the new movies, Rogue One is my favorite. I think that was just such lightning in a bottle that they caught. And the movie is filled with those moments, and especially from Ben Mendelsohn's performance. Like Ben Mendelsohn, like it's such a shame that we're more than likely not going to see him again, probably. But that character was just so enchanting, from like evilly enchanting. And again, just that moment of just pure awe on his face. I mean, it's sort of the awe that I imagine folks, when they saw the Dual Sunset for the first time, what the audience felt, that's what Krennic felt when he watched Jedha get destroyed.
Yeah. And you're right about that. Rogue One, I think I agree with you, Shannon. My favorite of the new films. So I think Michael is in agreement as well. I put it up right behind Empire. I mean, it's that good for me. Yeah.
I was thinking of favorite moments, and I almost went with just the last 45 minutes of Rogue One. I mean, like just like from the moment that they leave Yavin 4 and head for that battle to the very end is just like, I have the two movies that I go back often and just watch the last third of: Avengers Endgame and Rogue One. Like, I'll just put on that last battle and be like, yeah, let's just go. This is great. Let's do it.
Seeing the destruction on both sides, right? When Thanos shows up as well to destroy everything around them. My number 2 is from an animated series. I don't know if you guys know this one. It's called Star Wars Rebels. It's an episode called Twin Sons, with Kenobi and Maul going at it one more time. And it's not just the lightsaber battle. It's not just the fact that it evokes the samurai stuff, which was a foundational piece of creating Star Wars, Akira Kurosawa's influence on George Lucas. It is the end of, as well, as he holds his old enemy in his hands and has the back and forth with him after it's over. And that just, like, it's not redemption necessarily, but it is respect and understanding of two old warriors who have been fighting on multiple fronts numerous years. Finally, for one of them, the fight is over. And it's just a fantastically well animated sequence. The conversation ahead of time by the fire, then the moment where it happens, and an incredible quick battle, which is how samurai battles actually went if you study the history of samurai battle or fight one-on-one fights, and then boom, that ending. So just incredible animation throughout, the voiceover work done by both of those actors, and then of course the writing of that scene as well, which led to that beautiful moment between them as Maul dies, this time for real.
I had a really great conversation with Henry Gilroy, who was, EP on Rebels. And when that show aired, we were texting about it. And, he also said, in addition to everything you said about the samurai battles, which definitely was a reference point, but, like we all have seen Obi-Wan Kenobi fight Vader in A New Hope. Yeah. And, that was before CG effects. And the lightsaber battle is not as dynamic as some other lightsaber battles that we've had. But, like, when they talked about it in the writer's room, they really kind of discussed, like, it shows how Obi-Wan has matured in a way that Maul has not. Like, Obi-Wan and Maul, between Phantom Menace and then into Clone Wars, have had several lightsaber battles, and they're pretty awesome, badass, flipping all over the place lightsaber battles. So to get to this point at the end where Maul is still ready to do what they've always done, and Kenobi's just like, we don't we don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's not how I fight. This is where we're at. And it just shows the difference between them, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Michael, what's your third installment here on your best Star Wars moments?
Again, animated, like I said, I'm going 3 for 3 on this one. And it is Order 66 as seen through Ahsoka Tano's eyes in the Clone Wars finale. Order 66, I think, is the gift that keeps on giving. Every time we see a new part of Order 66, it gets recut into every YouTube video that shows every Order 66 from like Revenge of the Sith to Fallen Order to everything. We just got, thanks to the Mandalorian, thanks to Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, we got some more footage thrown in with Grogu during Order 66. So it really is like a turning point moment in the Star Wars universe that I think we will always end up coming back to because so much comes out of it for so many characters. But Ahsoka Tano and Rex, two characters that nobody thought they would care about at all when Clone Wars started, who have become two of the most beloved characters in the Star Wars universe. And to see that moment where Order 66 gets executed and Rex turns on Ahsoka and holds out just long enough to give her the piece of info, but can't hold out completely because it's in his programming. And then Ahsoka escaping all the troopers who literally are her best friends, like literally the troopers that respected her the most, that loved her the most, and watching her just do some awesome badass Jedi shit without killing any of them because she won't kill them. Like it is, and then that just leading into her letting Maul out, and that great moment with her and Maul where he thinks they're teaming up, and she was like, "I am not rooting for you." It just kicks off, and leading all the way to just seeing that epic escape with Ahsoka and Rex that leads, of course, to that epic ending where she buries all the clones. Just the whole thing, like it really to me is at this point the culmination of Ahsoka's character, her peak moment. Hopefully we're about to get a lot more in live action, but it's this journey of this character that we never knew existed, that we get to see the Star Wars universe through her eyes, and it's really like what really to me sets her up as one of the greatest characters in all of Star Wars, live action or otherwise.
That's a great choice, man. That's an absolute. You're right. I mean, to come back and look, we heard so much about season 7 of Clone Wars before it came out. There were people who were cautiously optimistic. There were people who were nervous about it. And that scene alone was worth the price of admission of all those episodes just to get to that moment. Hell, watching the entire series was worth it just to get to that moment and see her reactions to everything and how she still cares for them, even when she has to fight them off, which is incredible. All right, Shannon, what do you got at number 2, my man? Or number 3, what do you got?
So this would actually be from The Force Awakens. So for a sequel trilogy that I was not the biggest fan of. Like there were definitely moments that I liked, and I think of the 3 films, I like The Force Awakens the most. A lot of this particular moment has to do with the performance of Harrison Ford. On the heels of the Rathtar sequence, which again I was not a huge fan of. That was the moment in the movie that I'm like, I don't know about this. But when they're on the Falcon afterwards, and we're basically finding out that Rey and Finn both know of who Han Solo is, but they just have different, it's illustrating how our heroes from the original trilogy have really become legends within the galaxy. And within that legend, sometimes stuff splinters. People hear one thing and they don't hear the other. And as he's talking about where Luke is, talking about the Force, and that moment, it's gonna get me emotional. But the moment where he says it's real, all of it. Oh my God. Yeah. So, the last few years, like growing up in the 80s, obviously I was a big Harrison Ford fan, but the last few years, Harrison Ford has developed a reputation for being very cantankerous, and some of his performances have been a little, perhaps a little phoned in. Because the man. Well, I said perhaps a few.
Listen, you smoke a lot of weed, you're gonna phone in some performances. I'm just saying.
Firewall, I don't even remember it.
But watching. It was like watching a light behind his eyes. The moment that he is explaining it's true, all of it. And you have just this gorgeous setting of the star map sort of encapsulating them. And also a lot of credit to John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. I mean, playing that wonder, like getting to essentially meet this this folk hero. And again, like that moment, I think that's one of the reasons, like obviously they didn't need to release trailers for The Force Awakens. Everybody was going to see this movie, but that's one of the reasons I think they had that moment in the trailer. Is it just, for someone who grew up with those movies, and even for folks that maybe were new to it, I mean, it grabs you by the chest and pulls you in. And again, a lot of that is because of the performance of Harrison Ford in that moment.
I think both those moments, right, guys? Like both those moments in the trailer, when we saw it's all real and Chewie, we're home. Like both those moments just absolutely shatter you.
Chewie, we're home.
Star Wars fan, it absolutely shatters you for sure. So then my number 3, and I think you guys know why, is Chirrut Imwe's death. That is that moment in Rogue One. You know, you both have been getting emotional talking about your moments. I haven't got emotional yet. This is the emotional one for me. This is the emotional moment. And maybe we should change this section to top 3 moments post-trilogy, because it sounds like that's what we're talking about here, post the original trilogy. Because right here, this moment here, what happens with Chirrut Imwe and how we've been building Donnie Yen's character throughout the movie and the way he's presented. And look, there's not a lot of backstory. There's not a lot of tell me about your parents. None of that. There's just an old school veteran actor bringing pathos and levels and complexity and nuance to his performance throughout his connection with Baze Malbus, all of that there for them to connect to and have conversations with. And then boom, that moment where he, you know, because he's having his faith questioned. He's been having, you know, this whole thing. Is it really real? Baze is constantly saying how, you know, he's the how can I say, he's the cynical one of the two now, considering everything that's happened. But it's Chirrut Imwe who keeps the faith. And when he walks out there and says what he says over and over again, the forces, well, I'm strong with the force and the forces with me. Is that what he says? And,
I'm one with the force.
The force is with me.
Yeah,
I'm one with the force. The force with, and the multiple times he says it as he's walking out there, it's just an incredible sacrifice and the way it all goes down and then pulls it. And they don't give him that moment of living. It is a sacrifice, and he gets to kind of have his moment to shine and be validated for his beliefs, and then boom, pass away. What a great way to go, having your entire point of view as a human being or as a person validated right before you go. So to me, just incredibly well done and phenomenally acted by Donnie Yen throughout the movie. But certainly in that moment, just broke my heart into pieces watching that movie. You
cannot tell me that those two are not a couple. I said it when we came out of the theater. I will say it till I'm dead. Like that. Those two are a couple.
Stop grooming me, Michael. But yes.
There are two great unsung gay couples in Star Wars. That is one of them, and we all know who the other two are. So I don't even need to say it. We all know.
Fair enough. Bite that lip. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Donnie Yen's performance was very aggressive. Donnie Yen's performance throughout the movie is just, again, as you were saying, John, this is a man of faith, and this is a man who celebrates his faith, no matter what is happening.
Unshaken in his faith.
Absolutely. And then watching, and again, because it is such an ensemble, like you get sprinkles of backstory and the inner life that all of the performers brought to that, because they had to do that, without it being scripted. I mean, they had to do it with their gestures, with their looks, with their glances, with their tone, and watching Baze's sacrifice right after that.
Yeah,
that's someone who has rediscovered their faith. Yeah. In the wake of their friend's sacrifice, in like or their couples or their lovers' sacrifice. I mean, I was trying to find the right word.
Yeah, cover them all. Really powerful stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Yeah, well, we've just detailed 9 moments there in Star Wars, both animated and live action, that we really love. And now we get into maybe the top 3 moments that weren't that great in Star Wars. It didn't quite hit the mark on Star Wars. We're going to keep this light. We're not going to be negative about it, but we are going to bring, just like Michael, how would you present it?
Well, we were saying this in the text. Like, look, we don't want to knock on Star Wars, because especially not on May the 4th, but we all love Star Wars the way that we love our families. And sometimes people in your family do some stupid shit. Every single one of you knows You got that cousin, you got that aunt and uncle, you got that uncle who got drunk at that wedding, and you're like, oh God. So Star Wars is no different. Star Wars has those moments that we don't love as much as others. We still love our family, but it doesn't mean you don't talk about that time that Uncle Rick got wasted at that wedding. So that is what we're gonna do. We should probably do, just so we definitely have time to get to Obi-Wan, do all three at once for each one of us.
Yeah, that works best.
Just go down the list a little bit.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, me first?
Yeah, start us off, Mike. Oh, wait.
All right.
No, let's go to Shannon first. Sorry. Let's go to Shannon first. Mike started last section. Go ahead, Shannon.
Okay, so the first one is from episode 1, and I would never knock the performer because the performer was a child. But galactic the space fight outside of Naboo, and they were going to the Trade Federation ship, and this was this is George Lucas's not being able to maybe communicate his direction adequately to a younger performer, because there were so many things like at the end of that movie, there were still there's still so many things I love about episode 1, but when that moment of whoa, where he knocks his head back and forth, and I was like, did the rig not work? I mean, I feel like you're telling the kid, like, well, shake back and forth like the ship got hit. And it just sort of, it was one of those moments that really stuck out for me in a movie where a lot of moments stuck out to me, and not necessarily in a positive light. Okay. The second one, and this is this is a great sequence, and it's in episode 2. It's when they save Padme, when the little worm comes in. And the moment that Obi-Wan jumped out the window to grab the droid, I was like, Obi-Wan would not do that. Anakin would do that. Like, that makes way more sense to me, that the impetuous, headstrong Anakin Skywalker, he's the one that would leap out of a building, thousands of stories in the air to try and find out who tried to kill his love. And, and the last one is episode 3, and it is the no at the very end. Like, you had we have the return of the great James Earl Jones, and I feel like the performance was strong until that moment. And it's not just, it was everything. It was the kind of sillier line of dialogue. It was the pulling back. I mean, I know George Lucas had said afterwards that he's like, well, I wanted to be like Monster Movie. And it's like, yeah. But I can't think. And then again, we remake things in our own heads all the time. And I can't think about how much more powerful it would have been for sort of to display this awesome power of the dark side. And then he just stops and drops his head. Right. With no dialogue. I think that would have been so much more stronger. But alas, it didn't happen. And even though I don't love those moments, I still go back and watch those movies.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Is that all 3 years?
That's 3.
Okay.
Episode 1, episode 2, episode 3.
Mikey, why don't you take the next one? What do you got? What do you got in your 3?
All right. Well, so my number 1 is just C-3PO in the prequels. Period.
Just overall.
Because it's 2 moments, but it's the beginning and end. I never understood why Anakin built C-3PO. Like, it just like R2 sort of being where he is and showing up when he shows up and kind of being along for the ride throughout the entire saga made sense. Some kid being like, hey, I built a protocol droid who I will never actually reference or deal with again in my life, but cool. It was just such a, okay, I guess, but there was no reason for this. And then throughout the prequels, there was always this discussion, like, it was pretty clear when you get to A New Hope, like, R2 still seems to know what's going on. R2 seems to recall things, and he knows where to go, and he kind of goes directly to Ben Kenobi. But C-3PO doesn't remember anything. And George Lucas at some point during the prequel process said, oh, there's going to be a reason. So I was like, cool, like, there's a reason that 3PO doesn't remember. Maybe, like, he does some sacrifice. Maybe Anakin does something to him. Like, I kept waiting for the moment that we found out why C-3PO doesn't remember, but R2 does. And we're, like, getting to like the last 5 minutes of Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like, C-3PO still remembers. What's gonna be the thing? Like, what's the thing? And the thing was Jimmy Smits going, hey, mind wipe this droid. Not both droids, just the one that doesn't remember. it gets me hot under the collar. I'm like, come on, really? Like, so it's not that I like that 3PO and R2 are the droids that are in the entire saga. I'm glad. Sure. R2 works great. 3PO, I wish we had thought that through a bit better.
Okay.
And my other two are new trilogy. One, look, Last Jedi I love more than both of you do, but I also don't think it's a perfect movie. And my number two least favorite thing is kind of just Canto Bight.
There it is.
Now I think Canto Bight has a lot of potential. I think Canto Bight is cool as an idea.
Yep.
In its execution, I think does not work great. I think both in the fact that I know that we were kind of like, I know that Rian Johnson was going for, here's kind of my Mos Eisley cantina with my ridiculous aliens. I think the aliens are a little maybe too ridiculous. And then I also think the fact that they made such a big deal about hey, there's this one guy that is the only one that you can get, and he's the one you have to go to because only he can crack the code. And then they get arrested and just happen to meet Benicio del Toro, who just happens to have the exact same skill set. I'm like, I feel like, I don't know about this. And then my third one, is nobody's fault. My third one is just sort of like, it just sucks. Yeah. I think the way that we had to use Carrie Fisher's performance in Rise of Skywalker is, look, Rise of Skywalker, anybody who knows me knows that's not my favorite of the movies. I think that there's still beautiful sequences. I think there's stuff to enjoy, even though there's a lot that I don't. But the one thing that really brings me out of it is those scenes with Rey and Leia are just so awkward that I understand why they made the choice. I think if I were in their position, I probably would have made the same choice. But I think in repeat viewings, I really, really wish we had opened Rise of Skywalker with the tragic death of General Leia and had Leia's death drive all the characters to have to step up because the Resistance was without their main leader. Like, I just think that in a way, Carrie Fisher's absence would have been a more powerful homage and goodbye to her than what we got, which I just think is kind of awkward. And again, it is literally I don't blame J.J. Abrams. I don't blame Kathleen. I blame nobody for this. It's just kind of like, that really sucks.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, there you go. My three, I'll go through them real quick. My number one is the one connected to, kind of tangentially connected to the no scene, is Padme, the warrior Padme, the fighter Padme, all of a sudden losing the will to live after she has the babies and names them is just one of the most ridiculous ways, and maudlin and melancholy, and like, just no offense to it's a Harlequin way of doing things that I thought was way out of step with what you had presented, and especially because this is the energy that Leia has, that Padme energy. She would not go down because she lost the will to live. There could have been there just could have been something else that they could have done for her. And it was such a disrespect to Natalie Portman and to the character of Padme, unfortunately. But, I understand why they did it at the time. It certainly was tragic, but I think it kind of undercut things. And the fact that romance didn't really work through that prequel trilogy, it only augments the fact, or accentuates the fact, that this wasn't a smart decision. It's something I just don't like. My second scene, or my second thing is, and I know some people are going to be mad, any scene with Jar Jar. And this is no offense to Owen, what's his name?
Ahmed Best.
Sorry, no offense to Ahmed Best. But I one of the reasons I have a hard time watching Phantom Menace is any scene with Jar Jar. I don't have the affection or the forgiving affection that other people have, or the rationalization for that character. Just can't get there.
You just don't like the Gungans.
I don't. I don't mind Boss Nass, but I really do not like Jar Jar. And then Jar Jar handing over control to of the Senate, to giving him powers to Palpatine, using him as a pats. Maybe that's what it is. It's not that Jar Jar bothers me. It's the way he was used in the prequel trilogies as a patsy, in essence, as a fool most of the time. Well, it was a little frustrating to see that over and over again, and it wasn't as cute as George thought it was going to be. And again, nothing against Ahmed Best, just the character itself didn't work for me.
It's because he's a Sith Lord.
Sure.
You know that, right? My brother My brother watched a whole YouTube video about it. YouTube Jar Jar Sith Lord. There is a strong case to be made that everything he does is intentional because he's actually a Sith Lord and he's been angling for this to happen the whole time.
Sure. Just like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, Sith Lords and Dumb and Dumber, both of them, absolutely. And my last one, and this is gonna piss off. This might piss off my friends here and some of you watching, is that Battle of Endor. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. To me, Wookiees. That's the smarter choice. That's the more badass choice. That's what we deserve. I get it. It's made for kids. You got to sell merchandise and blah, 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 bloops. I get it. And by the way, we're going to get pilloried for not mentioning Baby Yoda in any of our favorite moments. But to me, this ending of Endor just does not work. All of a sudden, the stormtroopers are a bunch of incompetent buffoons faced with prehistoric tools and weapons. It's ridiculous on so many levels, especially when you spent 2 3/4 movies really building up the fact that this is a military and troops that are commanded by one of the most fearsome people in the galaxy. I can excuse their inability to shoot. There was still menace, and all that menace went right away when you're watching that Battle of Endor. And some of you may get mad at me, but it just kills the movie for me. Not fully, but it certainly bothers me when I watch the movie now. So
look, I understand that. I understand
kids.
It is an
There's
age
a generation
thing.
of kids who got traumatized by an Ewok dying.
That Ewok dying. It is true. Like, look, Shannon and I are of a certain age. You are of a much older age, and so I wouldn't say much. I get it. I thought the Ewoks were legitimately the coolest thing that I'd ever seen in my entire life. I thought they were great. I would also say that you could make a case that the entire thematic idea around Star Wars is that the Empire creates technology run amok with no nature at all, and that Star Wars thematically is always about nature versus technology. So having the denizens of a forest planet rise up and take on the Empire and be able to overtake it thematically does fit within Star Wars, but we could have that discussion another day.
Sure, but execution-wise, it didn't. And so that was where I fall on that. All right, let's get into our last section here before we jump into a main conversation here real quick. What is a series you would like to see in Star Wars? And I'm going to go first, as I didn't go first in the first 2 sections. And I will just say I love that Ronin episode from Star Wars Visions. I would love to see a Ronin samurai Sith Lord type. We don't know what his background is, so I would love an animated series in that style, by the way, be told for like a 12, 15 episode series. I would love to see that. That's my vote. I enjoyed the Ronin book. There are so many adventures and things that they can pick out of the Ronin book to use as basis for episodes. So that's my choice. As a samurai lover and as a lover of Star Wars and as a lover of that short, that would be my choice. What about you there, Shannon? Let's go back around the horn.
I mean, I always say Dr. Aphra. I always
great choice.
This is Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
But after watching Solo recently, I would really love to get almost like a shorts series of the Calrissian Chronicles. Watching Donald Glover sort of do his captain's log moment, I'm like, God, I would love to get like an animated shorts Calrissian Chronicles. I think that would be one. I would. Donald Glover does such an amazing job in that movie. Yeah. I would love to see him return in some capacity and doing the voice in a series of maybe 40 episodes, 44-minute shorts. I think that
sounds familiar.
I think that he would, to hear his voice and to get sort of like a comedic spin on it, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I actually know a couple of dudes on this screen who've written 44-minute episodes of stuff. So
get that plug in, Shannon. Get that plug in. Michael, series, what would you like to see?
I want to see a series around Dex on Coruscant running his diner. I just want Dex, the Dex show. I want Dex, who comes in each week, somebody brand new. Dex is like, what do you have? I just want Dex. If I can't get Dex, which is by far my first choice.
You want a Mike and Molly Dex show? Is that what you want, a Mike and King of Queens?
Basically.
Okay.
I want King of Queens, except it's just Dex. And that's what I wanted.
All right.
No, if I can't have that, I actually, I'm a big fan of the High Republic and everything they're doing. Just like the variety of Jedi and this whole other era of the Star Wars universe, pre-Empire, pre-anything that we know. It's 100 years before. I don't know if they have plans to bring the High Republic to television or to the big screen in any way, shape, or form, but it's an era that I'm pretty taken with. And I think when George Lucas originally conceived the prequel trilogy, the idea was like, let's see the Jedi at their peak. Let's see all these Jedi doing awesome things. In the big scheme of things, it's not really their peak because we're basically watching the fall of the Jedi and they are duped by Sidious. But the High Republic, we really do see the Jedi at their peak. And I think it would just be badass to see on screen some of the stuff that they've done in the books and the comics.
Great choices, man. Both, I think those were great choices, and great choices for worst and not so good moments in Star Wars. We hope you enjoyed this section of the show. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to jump in and break down and give our thoughts on this new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer for the series that's coming out in just a few weeks here from Disney and Lucasfilm. We'll be right back right after this.
Do 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 do.
I must train him. We're going to get into it here. The Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. It was only 90 seconds. It's the second trailer they've dropped here for Obi-Wan Kenobi. They dropped it on May the 4th, and everyone was predicting this, so no surprise that they did drop it. But, gentlemen, let's go around the horn here. Overall thoughts, not a lot was revealed. We got a little more with Uncle Owen. We got the Darth Vader shot, not facially or not with the mask, but certainly the middle area of Darth Vader. We got more with Reva. Certainly seems to be the main Inquisitor that is going after Kenobi. So thoughts overall, Mike, on getting these within this 90 seconds. What did you think about it as a teaser here for what we're going to get in the Kenobi series?
I mean, I thought it was a great teaser, and I think we maybe got a little bit more than some people are thinking that we got as far as new information. I mean, for example, like a lot of us suspected that the relationship between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ben and Uncle Ben was going to be keying off of what they did in the comics, and just based on the brief interplay we got between them, it seems like that's the case. Like Ben is straight up like, you stay away. We don't want this. And then Obi-Wan is like, he's at some point, this boy has to be trained. Yeah. And he's like, oh, the way you trained his dad, which you were like, low blow, Ben. But so like you get a real good sense of what that dynamic.
You keep saying Uncle, Ben, you're throwing me off.
I just watched Spider-Man No Way Home the other day, and it's been fresh in my mind. Gotcha. I got my uncles confused. I mixed matched my uncles. It happens. Yes, Uncle Owen. Sorry. But yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. We got a lot more of the Fortress Inquisitorius with the Inquisitors, but we saw a lot of stormtroopers and purge troopers sort of arming up. So it really looks like there's going to be some kind of battle. So I don't think we're just going there to sort of see the Inquisitors before they head out. It looks like the fight is going to be coming to the Fortress Inquisitorius. And as anyone who's played Fallen Order knows, like that's a fun place to have battles in. I think, we see a really, really brief glimpse of Kumail Nanjiani, but we see Kumail Nanjiani. So like I said on Twitter, my money was on him being the voice of a droid, and he is clearly not. And based on his robes, it looks like he might be a Jedi on the run. So I think that's really, really interesting. And we also see a lot of Obi-Wan. We hear the third sister saying, she wants every sort of bounty hunter and everyone putting the pressure on him. And we see a lot of Obi-Wan fighting without the lightsaber. So we do get this sense that if you're a Jedi on the run, you're probably not going to whip that lightsaber out. You're going to do everything you can not to use it. And so I think we're going to get to see him not just fighting Inquisitors, not just fighting Stormtroopers, but that we're going to get a lot of the scum and villainy side of the Star Wars universe in the series as well. So I thought that was interesting. You see Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of taking down, you see like one of those probe droids in the background, you see Stormtroopers. So it looks like it very much fits in with the era of Star Wars that it should be. Like a lot of people online are saying it looks like Jedi Fallen Order, the TV series, except with Obi-Wan Kenobi instead of Cal Kestis, which is pretty cool because that's exactly the time period that this is taking place in. I thought the Inquisitors all looked good. You know, I mean, there was obviously a lot of discussion about the Grand Inquisitor in that last teaser, but I think the shot of him in this trailer looked good. So I think there's a lot of interesting information in there, and just in general, it's definitely got me hyped.
Well, fair enough. Shannon, what stood out to you? What'd you like? What'd you think of this 90-second trailer here for Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi?
The Owen Kenobi dynamic, definitely. Even though we get just a glimpse of it, Joel Edgerton is such a fantastic actor who did not get to do. He barely got to do anything in episode 2. So watching the tug of war that those two are going to have, and I mean, my hope is that he ends up going on the adventure. That he goes on the adventure, and it just sort of cements his idea that, like, yeah, you stay away from my nephew. Yeah, the action definitely got me. Like we saw, I think it was a Dathomirian, Obi-Wan kind of lay one out. The action looks like Deborah Chow. I mean, it looks like Mandalorian episode 3 style action. So it just got me super, super excited. And watching Inquisitor Reva basically, yelling out to Obi-Wan, I was like, God, this is emotionally the audience we're already in, because we know where he's been and we know where he's going. So I think it's the type of show that, I mean, it is just going to hit the ground running and take off.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a great showcase for the theatrical approach that they're having to the episodes in this series. There's only 6 episodes. It's going to be here and gone before we know it. And I think we're going to be just absolutely blown away by what we see here. I feel like this is their pole in the ground. This is the one they most want to work the one they most want to kind of appeal to a cross generation of people who are fans of original trilogy, casual fans of new fans or current fans, what have you. I think they know the power of the Kenobi name to stretch across multiple generations. So I think you can see that they put a lot of effort into making this look a certain way. I mean, the stuff with Dayu, which looks like a Hong Kong city type Blade Runner type thing going on. You're right about seeing the Inquisitors. It works much better seeing the Grand Inquisitor in context, in where I mean, that shot of the 3 of them walking out of their ship with Sung Kang there, I think is the 5th brother. That was awesome to see as well. We get another one of the Inquisitors tease there over whatever they're looking at there in the Inquisitorius. And yes, Michael, you bring the Owen. I mean, Joel Edgerton, Ewan McGregor going at it is already 2 really damn good actors, veteran actors, having some fun going back and forth. But I mean, Owen has been waiting to drop that zinger on Kenobi for quite some time. I feel like, and I'm sure Obi was like, "How long have you had that in the holster?" Because he absolutely decimates. Like his dad. You gonna train like his dad? Damn,
the only proper comeback to that is, oh, you mean the way you trained his father? You're like, look, he had the high ground. He had the high ground.
But like, there's going to be more of that, and I'm sure he's going to go on the adventures. Joel Edgerton, you don't cast him to sit back and just have occasional back and forths with Ewan McGregor. So you hope he's on the adventure. And I'm with you, Shannon. I said this in my trailer reaction, which I dropped earlier today. This feels like the series is going to explain why Kenobi, in the end, did not interfere with Luke's raising until he was much older. That Owen finally got through to Obi-Wan and said, "Dude, you bring trouble. Wherever you go, trouble goes. You're going to endanger this child. Look, if anything, I'm available to help you with anything, but stay away from the kid. Let him grow up. Let him have his childhood. Let him have his teen years, and then he'll make his decision." So I think that'll be a part. And that doesn't mean there can't be multiple seasons here, by the way, because Ewan McGregor said in an interview recently that he'd be down to do more Kenobi series. So it doesn't mean you have to kind of just, that's it. It just means that the end result will be that Kenobi understands he has to keep his distance overall, which I like. Plus, I love the graphic of him being on a wanted poster. That reminded me a lot of Sirius Black with that poster of his. All of that. And then, of course, and you know what, Mike, you bring a good point here with Kumail Nanjiani. If he's a Jedi on the run, then the words that you hear from Kenobi at the beginning of this trailer make sense. You have to hide. They're coming after us, blah, blah, blah. It could be this Jedi he's talking to overall. And then, of course, the Darth Vader reveal was pretty badass. And the way Ewan McGregor's acting in that shot, he's not saying a damn word, is incredible.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Well, I mean, and I could be wrong about this, but like, in Star Wars Rebels, you know, like Kanan finds that, like we hear the holocron that Obi-Wan Kenobi sends out to all the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so like what he says in that first voiceover in the trailer, it could be to a specific Jedi, it could be to Kamal Nanjiani, or we could actually see in live action the thing that we've seen in animation, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi sending a message out to all Jedi being like, hey, don't go back there, stay away. And I think also the other thing this trailer confirms is something we all kind of knew, and Kathleen Kennedy and everybody saying that we were going to get this confrontation kind of confirmed it as well, is that it's very clear that like it's not like we're ending this with them not knowing Kenobi existed and he stays hidden the whole time. Like you said, we see the wanted poster. We hear the third sister be like, Kenobi. Like, it is very clear that his existence is known and that there's going to be a confrontation. So in addition to sort of, I think you're absolutely right about with Uncle Owen and kind of getting to that point where it's like there's a reason that Kenobi just stays away until Luke comes to him. I'm also really curious as to how this ends things. Like, do they think they defeat him at the end? Like, where do we end up that they sort of leave it alone and he's able to just sort of live out those rest of those years on Tatooine? So I think they're really good. I mean, part of like what's great about having Filoni as part of this Filoni Favreau team with Chow and all the amazing directors they have is that what Clone Wars and Rebels were both really good at is kind of dancing through the raindrops of the live action movies. It's like they were able to find these little gaps in story and be like, we are going to expand on this. And then that's going to allow us to sort of explain things that sometimes don't link up as well between like the original trilogy. You know, like they're really good at that. And I kind of feel like this series is going to do that as well.
Yeah, sure. Shannon, more thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious because, you know, there were, I mean, it was one of the things that I said, like, I'm really curious about the Grand Inquisitor. So like the design in that first teaser, I was like, a little like, that didn't translate so well. This one, I do think the shot looks better, but I'm curious about where he is as a character right now because the Rebels version, the Jason Isaacs voiced version, I mean, this is a crisp military officer. This is a guy that, you know, you could put a teacup on top of his head. The guy that we see walking out with the other two Inquisitors, that guy has swagger. Yeah. He's coming in cock of the walk. So I'm really, really curious because obviously, as you said, John, it seems like they're really positioning Reva to be kind of our antagonistic point person. Right. But I don't think, again, you cast Rupert Friend without him being a significant presence in the show. I mean, my guess is Reva is turning good.
Oh, really?
That's my guess.
I mean, she has that one. She's screaming at Kenobi, "You can't escape him!" She's trying to, you know, kind of get to Kenobi, and maybe there's a breaking point. Interesting. Okay.
That's kind of my guess right now. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Rupert Friend does with that role.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we haven't even seen, I think, half the actors that are going to be in this series. They're still, you know, I think in Dear Evan we had one shot of her. But we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen O'Shea Jackson Jr. I haven't seen him. Nope. I don't think in either one of these two trailers. So curious to see what role he's going to play. There's a number of actors we haven't seen yet.
Vinny Safdie we haven't seen yet, right?
Exactly. And Kumail, we only get one nonverbal shot of him looking. By the way, fantastically framed. It looks like something out of a comic book, the angle they're using there, which is great. So there's still more to come from this. But the overall vibe I got is this is going to be a more mature approach to this situation, an approach to what's happening here. And this is what I've desperately been waiting for. And hopefully this becomes one of those series that people go, okay, this is what you can expect going forward from these Star Wars Disney Plus series. You know, The Mandalorian's been great. Boba Fett, a little mixed. But now we got back to Kenobi here. And this is one that I think could really blow up and get even more of the public's attention overall, and might even surpass Baby Yoda in terms of attention. I don't know.
Whoa,
that's a little tough. It's a little tough. Put out there.
I was just at Disneyland and I went to the Star Wars store, and I don't think anything's surpassing Baby Yoda anytime soon. It might as well be the Grogu store.
Well, there's rumors that droid or that little assistant to Kenobi is supposedly pretty kind of rival Baby Yoda, but I don't know. I don't know if we've seen that yet.
I don't know if we're going to see any plush Uncle Owens in the Star Wars store.
You don't know.
But Kenobi, maybe. I mean, we had some probe droids in this as well. And there was another Inquisitor on the end here looking. Some people are wondering if that's what the Seven Sisters. Some people are wondering if that's a new because apparently we've seen 8 or 7 of the Inquisitors, either live action or animated, and there's still 2 that we haven't seen because I think there's 10 of them. So do we see all of them in this series? What do you guys think?
I mean,
I don't
possibly.
know.
Like,
Okay.
If they might want to save some,
yeah,
that would kind of.
If
be
it were
my
me,
guess.
I would always keep a sister or 2. I'd always keep somebody in my back pocket.
Okay.
So, somebody for that post-credit sequence.
Oh, well, and here's the thing: he's wanted for on the translation. It is offense for high treason and bounty upon capture. So interesting. And then we see a LOM droid as well, a 4-LOM droid there as well. What to take from that? What do we take from that? One of the bounty hunters.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it like I said, it kind of denotes that this isn't just a Grand Inquisitor versus Jedi thing, that we're going to get into bounty hunters, that we're going to get into these other things, which I think is smart. I mean, that's like a huge part of Star Wars, like I said, is the scum and villainy. So the fact that the Inquisitors aren't just going out on their own, but are employing bounty hunters the same way Vader does in Empire, I think is smart.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not enough of them, so they need eyes and boots on the ground. Something I'm really looking forward to is Natalie Holt's score. So Natalie Holt did the fantastic score for Loki, and so to hear what she is going to bring to the Star Wars universe, like having sort of the base of, I think they're using Duel of the Fates so much in the promotions that it will make some sort of appearance. We'll get, we're probably going to get the Imperial theme, but I imagine we're going to get a new Kenobi theme. We're going to get an Inquisitor theme. I mean, there's so much here. And again, her work on Loki was just outstanding.
Well, and Williams has already said he's doing the Obi-Wan theme, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he said he never got to do a theme for Obi-Wan in New Hope. So he that's the one kind of like his contribution here is he's going to do the Obi-Wan theme, and then Holt's going to do the rest of it.
Right on. One last question as we wrap up. We didn't get the full Darth Vader, but we saw like his arm being attached. We saw him being built, and that shot of Kenobi. So, are you upset that we still haven't seen the full Darth Vader reveal? And B, do you think this is a scene in this series where they are having a captured Kenobi watch Vader being put together right in front of him as an FU to Kenobi for leaving him there to get burnt on Mustafar? What do you guys think?
I mean, that's a very vindictive architect.
It's Darth Vader.
Just in case we ever find the guy who did this to you, we're gonna make it completely open. There's gonna be a gallery. We're gonna sell popcorn. People are gonna be able to watch this villain come together. I'm wondering if that is the end of the first episode or the end of the second episode when Vader gets put together.
Yeah,
that's my
I think that was just some really good trailer editing. I don't think Kenobi's actually there when that happens. But I mean, it really brings up the question. I hope we get the No Way Home answer. By which I mean, there was so much discussion of, we knew mostly that we were going to see the other 2 Spider-Men in Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think there was a lot of discussion about how much we were going to see. And I think all 3 of us kind of thought we weren't going to see nearly as much of them as we did end up seeing. And in the case of No Way Home, more Andrew Garfield and more Tobey Maguire was definitely a big plus. So I think that since all the marketing materials and all the promotion and this trailer, they're all sort of hyping up so much this reunion of Kenobi and Skywalker, that I hope that this doesn't end up being 5.5 episodes of Inquisitors and then a battle at the end. I hope that this relationship is explored and we really get to see, again, just like with No Way Home, more of either Anakin or Darth Vader than we're thinking we're going to see.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we get more Vader than we think we're going to get. I'd like him to be a big part. Even though you got to let the Grand Inquisitor and the other Inquisitors breathe a little bit, I would like to see Vader come in and have more than just an occasional cameo or whatever. Before. All right, well, there you go. That's our discussion here. Our discussion on the brand new trailer dropped earlier today for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I thought we had a fun show discussing all of the stuff that's going on in Star Wars right now and our thoughts on Star Wars overall here on this May the 4th. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mikey?
Well, first of all, we want to wish all of you a very, very happy May the 4th. We hope the 4th is with all of you, and we hope you have a great Revenge of the 5th tomorrow. And if you would like to help us continue doing what we are doing here on the Geek Buddies, here is what you can do. Reach out with the Force. Reach out to that computer right now. Press that like button. Give us all the likes you can. Definitely use the Force to subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. It's got amazing content, lots of stuff for you to check out. Leave comments below. What did you think? What are your top Star Wars moments? What are your least top Star Wars moments? We're not going to use the word worst because we love Star Wars, but what are your least favorites? Let us know everything below. What did you think of the Kenobi trailer? If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere podcasts are available, leave us some stars, leave us some comments. It helps us rise up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to tell everyone to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much. Glad you used rise in a sentence without getting upset. I appreciate that. There you go. And thanks again to Carbon Health, who powers and sponsors the Geek Buddies and what we do here on the Outlaw Nation. Thank you so much to them. Check them out at carbonhealth.com. They got COVID testing kits for cheap right now for you to go get and make sure you're taken care of. Make sure you're good. You're testing negative, because this thing is still out there and the numbers are starting to tick up, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody thinks it's over, but the numbers are starting to tick up. So it's nothing. There's no crime in making sure you're okay. So head on over there and maybe set up a physical for yourself. Set up any kind of appointment you can to have any kind of health questions related to what's going on with you answered by their professionals, and get that app as well to have a doc in your pocket whenever you need any healthcare questions or any healthcare issues addressed by the people over there at Carbon Health. All right, thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves. As Mikey said, have a happy May the 4th, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode from the
Geek
Buddies! Hey!